Hey guys, it's Saturday, and I know the screen looks really foggy and bizarro right now because, of course, yesterday after I got done filming my video, got out of the car, and of course my cell phone slipped out of my hand, went straight to the concrete. Now I got a cracked screen and I can't afford to replace it right now, so here we are in the shadows. But it's kind of cool. It kind of makes me look ethereal, you know, like I'm here but I'm not really here, you know. I'm like your spirit guide. But so anyway, it's a Saturday afternoon. My mom's in good spirits today. She's been trucking. She's been, you'd think 2 weeks after major back surgery, she'd be held up in bed more, but nope, she does not want to stay still, and more power to her. Thank you guys for your thoughts and prayers, especially at Concrete Leper. You have been awesome. You're a really cool guy. I like you a lot. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of it. So yeah, I was thinking a little bit about what I was talking about at the end of my video. I was actually, instead of focusing on characters for today, I was going to kind of describe where I think Final Fantasy went off track. Where I think they kind of missed the mark. It's kind of predictable, but here we go. So first of all, the last out of the park amazing Final Fantasy that was created, in my opinion, was 10. Final Fantasy 10, it gave players what they wanted the most out of the original Final Fantasies in terms of things that were lacking. Everybody wanted to have a voice with the characters. Everybody wanted well, not everybody, you know what I mean. People like me, mostly, wanted, we wanted to see a little more, I wouldn't say depth. I would say, we wanted to see the stories fleshed out a little bit more. The lore built on. And 10 did all of that. 10 was groundbreaking. I thought for sure, after 10, Final Fantasy was on the rise in my, the way I felt. I was like, oh my God, this is the best game at the time, I was like, this is the best game I've ever played. Of course, I still consider 7 and 8 superior to 10. I don't consider 9 superior to 10, but that's just my personal taste, just because I tend to find, going on that classic archetype of the RPG, what I liked about the most about stuff like 6, 7, and 8 and all were they deviated from the original formula to a point where they were exploring the concept of RPGs in fantasy worlds that were kind of set in more of a modernistic tone, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed 9 a lot, don't get me wrong. It's just that 9, it was a little too cartoony for me at times, but the deeper themes in the story kind of make up for that. 10, again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. You ever want to cry at the end of a video game? You ever want to get super emotional? No matter how much of a hard ass you are, if you play through all of 10, you get to that ending, you're gonna cry. I don't care how much of a badass you are, you're gonna cry. But it's like a beautiful sadness, you know what I mean? It's good storytelling. It's great. Final Fantasy began to slip into hell when they did Final Fantasy X-2. And before the internet morons jump on, the obvious thing of, oh, you didn't like it because it starred women? No. I bought the game. I knew it starred women, and I still bought the game, and I wanted to play it because I wanted to find out what happens in the story. And of course, the tone and the gravity of the original title was kind of swept away for the most part, and we get Spice World, the video game. We get, you know, we're just girls, we want to have fun, you know, like, it was the most bizarre theme shift for me, to go from looking at Yuna as this honored, amazing, like, you know, hero who, like, underwent the worst kind of suffering, came out on the other side, did it all for completely selfless reasons, which is the mark of a true hero. She goes from that to being a pop singer in the beginning. Now, yeah, I know it wasn't really her on stage. I know it was an imposter, but it was just setting that whole scenario up that way. Pretty much the only thing I agreed with the change in Yuna's character, the only thing I was cool with was the fact that now she uses guns instead of the staff because her summoning ability is gone. Like, that was cool. I liked that. Riku, I don't understand. You know, I didn't really like Riku that much in the original 10. Riku kind of fits this character archetype that's in a lot of Final Fantasies that I always found annoying, but it's like, I could tolerate it because it's like, it's annoying, but it's like, it's kind of funny annoying. But, you know, she reminded me of like Yuffie from Final Fantasy VIII. I wouldn't, not too direct of a comparison here, obviously, but a little bit like Quina in Final Fantasy IX, just kind of, she's just kind of the comic relief, but it's not that funny. It's more like you just kind of want her to go away. And then Pain was just kind of a, you know, once again, you introduce this character, and the most interesting thing about her is really her clothing. She had kind of a cool backstory, but again, they only gave it to you in these like really tiny snippets, and like, it wasn't fleshed out enough, in my opinion. Final Fantasy X-2 was the beginning of the end for me, in terms of like the downgrading of quality, because it's you know, and it signaled also their rise to corporate status when they became Square Enix. And then Final Fantasy XI came out. I don't like MMORPGs. I feel like, you know, I love video games, but I don't want to completely spend all of my life and energy pouring into them. And that's what MMOs are, in my view, because there's no ending. There's no end game. You're just constantly buying new shit for it, and people are getting richer. So yeah, didn't play Final Fantasy XI, had no interest. Final Fantasy XII was just Star Wars redone in a Final Fantasy setting. If you think about it, I know people love 12. They're like, "Oh, 12 was so good." I'm like, I don't get it, because I feel like I was just rewatching A New Hope, but I was kind of playing through it, but it wasn't as interesting as Star Wars. You had the kid growing up in the desert town going, "I gotta get off this rock and become something," you know, and you get the charming, handsome pirate and his animal sidekick, sound familiar? Who come down and whisk him away on this big adventure to fight an evil empire. It's Star Wars. And it's not even really that fun, because I'm sorry, like, the whole thing of just hit attack once and sit there while you kind of cycle through an attack, it's not the same. It's not as fun. The chess style of the original Final Fantasies was always fun. That was reminiscent of online games, and I think that's what soured my taste to that. Final Fantasy 13. That was like the proto-woke. You know what I mean? That was before wokeness came about. That was where they were first experimenting with the idea of like, well, what if we did a story where we have Cloud, but Cloud's a girl? Okay. That would have been fine with me if the story had way more going on for it, but it really didn't. It was a soap opera. And as somebody who defended 13 to me online pointed out, oh, they clearly stated it was supposed to be like a soap opera, so I don't understand what... Yeah, you're not making it any better. Like... when I play Final Fantasy, as much as I like interpersonal drama between characters, I'm not interested in watching a soap. I'm not interested in playing Young and the Restless, the video game. Half the game is spent with Lightning bitching about her sister being in a coma, you know, or whatever, LaCie-induced coma, blah, blah, blah. It's a coma. Hope acting like, you know, Tony Robbins is leading an armed revolution. Wait, no, that wasn't Hope. I'm sorry, that was Snow. That was Snow. Snow was what I laughed at that guy so much throughout that game because that was just the most awkward BS. You know, it's motivational speaker leads a group of terrorists against oppressive regime and does so with a smile on his face the whole time. Yeah, talk about taking the piss out of the weight of it. Yeah, the only good character from 13, the only character whose story like I thought was like really like profound was the guy with the afro with the chickabo in his hair. I can't even remember his name. It's been so long. Final Fantasy 13-2. I know what you're thinking, Ben. Why would you play Final Fantasy 13-2 if you hated 13? Good question. I was young and stupid, and I just wanted to believe that the series could somehow redeem itself. So I tried 13-2. I played the very beginning of it, and the style they were trying with this was so freaking bad. Like, I think in the beginning of that game, I managed, like, I didn't even start the story, but I managed to train up to like level 60 in no time flat because like they didn't put it, there's no natural progression in that game because it's a time travel game. So they were like, well, okay, but all the sequences of the game are out of order and you're gonna come to them out of order and you have to kind of make sense of it. Yeah, okay, you know. 15 was a good start at a return to form, and a good start at bringing Final Fantasy into the new age. Because, you know, I agreed with the fact that Final Fantasy should not have stayed with that whole, like, just people sitting in a line and you press the button to do the attack and you wait a turn and blah, blah. You know, like, everybody prefers the real-time action, the Kingdom Hearts style. And so I think when it came to 15, it was a great foray into all that. The problem with 15 was that the story came out incomplete. It was pretty quick to get through. It was just like you go from point A to point B to point C, nothing in between. All of Noctis's internal conflicts are just kind of, they don't really, you know, he doesn't really go through too much to solve his own problems. He just kind of keeps on the path. It's very straightforward. Most interesting part about it was Arden. Arden was a great return to form for Final Fantasy villains, because one of the things people love about Final Fantasy is the villains being enigmatic, being kind of quirky, and also being, you know, incredibly layered. And Arden was a great villain. He may be one of the best villains in Final Fantasy because of the fact that you really identified with him. You understood how he became how he was, and you felt for him. You felt like, you know, it's like he did not start off evil. He started off very good, and he was essentially screwed over by fate itself. And so, you know, you understand his plight. As for Final Fantasy 16, I have no news. I think I saw that slight preview they were doing for some new Final Fantasy thing. It didn't really appeal. Everything I've seen of the 7 remake, it looks more and more like, you know, it's like they're taking all their cues from the original and then just kind of fleshing it out more and not taking too many crazy risks with it. That's just from what we've seen. We have no clue. I have no clue. Like, there could be more trailers in a month from now where something's gonna suck, and that's usually what happens with everything nowadays. But it's looking really promising, and it's a dream come true. It really is. But yeah, it's just really Final Fantasy. I think the biggest break off we had in terms of, you know, when the spirit of the franchise started changing and becoming watered down was when Square was absorbed into Square Enix. You can even see it with the progression of the Kingdom Hearts games. Kingdom Hearts #1 dealt with a lot of stuff. I mean, at the same time, it was done in that style to where it could appeal to very small children. It was, you know, a lot of it was kind of one-dimensional. I mean, Disney. But there was a lot of depth to it too. The end of Kingdom Hearts is also super dramatic, similarly to Final Fantasy X. Not as heavy, but still pretty heavy. And then you got Kingdom Hearts 2, which is when Enix took over that project right in the middle, and you could see the parts of the game that were really awesome, that were very in small amounts, like all the stuff with Ansem the Wise, all that stuff. All that you could tell, like, that's probably where Squaresoft had been, what they had been working on when they got stopped and then absorbed into Enix. And then with the Enix stuff, we got all this repetition. We got all this. Let's just follow the movie verbatim with each Disney world. Let's just redo the movie. Only you're fighting the villain of the movie, and you're helping the hero. Congratulations. But yeah, it's just when Square went corporate, the soul kind of got taken out of them. It looks like they're kind of trying to get it back, but they really just, I would say the best thing is just go to the original people, the people, most of whom have been, I think, screwed over. Got to get the, you know, we need more world building, we need more depth, and we can't be afraid to delve into certain subjects. I know that's vague as hell, but, you know, still. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. This has been an extra long video. Probably a good thing, because I kind of condense a lot of stuff into this short video, and I don't really explain myself too much. I don't know, that probably gets annoying. So this has just been kind of my observations, my thinking about the natural progression of it. I've thought about it a lot because I do love this franchise, and I want to see a comeback, and I'd like to see future generations be able to get into it and be able to spark their own creativity as a result. Speaking of creativity, Outlaw Nights is coming to Indiegogo on September 24th. It's going to be my 48-page action-packed genre mixing adventure, issue 1 of 6, and hopefully we will continue it beyond 6. But before I can even think about the full 6, I have to think about the flagship. You guys gotta love it, otherwise there's no point. Thank you so much, guys. I am gonna come back to you tomorrow with another video.